know that in the health care bill, we hired 16,000 more IRS agents. If we hire 16,000 more IRS agents, we shouldn't need a whole bunch more paperwork for small businesses to do to see if they're being honest. This requirement under the health care bill is going to cost a fortune for small business, even if you go to the $5,000 level, because you have to keep track of how much you buy from every supplier you have to see if you hit the $600 mark or the $5,000 mark. That's a cost to business with no benefit. And I don't think it's going to wind up with the kind of benefit that they're talking about in raising revenue to finance the health care. During the last month, my wife and I traveled around Wyoming. We visited small businesses. We looked to see what their problems were. I do that to get a sense of what federal legislation is going to do to help or hinder them. I want to see firsthand the struggles they deal with. Every business looks simple until you have to make the decisions that deal with that business. The last thing we do in Washington is hurt those businesses by passing legislation that takes resources away from growing businesses and puts it into more paperwork. We also shouldn't bypass legislation using regulation that stymies new jobs and causes uncertainty about what will come out in the near future. Unfortunately, I think that's exactly what happened in the health care reform law that was enacted earlier this year. Today we have a chance to fix it. Although the health care reform battle may be in the rearview mirror for some of you, it's the small business people in our hometowns who continue to bleed from it. The provision I'm referring to will require business owners to submit onerous and duplicative 1099 forms for every single business-to-business transaction over $600. Even $5,000 doesn't solve the problem. This includes anything from utilities, office supplies, construction materials. There are ways to audit that anyway. This is just trying to do an easy thing of putting the whole burden on business. So everybody on Main Street will have to do 200 to 2,000 of these 1099s, depending on which one of these forms you go with. Repealing it is the best way to do it. Something else that isn't mentioned in this is you have to get the taxpayer's ID number. If you're a small businessman, a really small businessman, your taxpayer ID is your Social Security number. How willing are you going to be to give your Social Security number to some kid that bought $600 worth of gas so that he could mow lawns over the summer? I think you can see what a terrible error it is to have this in the bill at all. I hope you'll repeal it. I yield the floor.